Hey everybody, so this will be our first lecture for this week, which is just about the InDesign user interface, becoming familiar with how InDesign works, how it works with your imagery, your own work, and how the file management works. Okay, so this is something you have to get down right from the beginning. If you don't get this, you're going to lose some of your work and you're going to get very angry with me. So let's not do that. A lot of you are working remotely on computers in the lab, so you're using the remote access. So understanding this is crucial before you begin doing your portfolio. So, um, so this lecture is just going to be all about sort of how InDesign works from a 30,000 foot level, and we're just going to make a very simple document, and we're going to sort of package it all together so it's ready to be worked on, say, the next day, and so forth. Okay, so I've opened InDesign, and right away it gives us some choices here of, do you want to open a file that you've already done, or do you just, what do you want to do? What we want to do is create a new file. So that's over here, and I'm just going to hit create new. And instead of choosing some sort of template that's already assigned here on the left, I'm just going to go over to the right-hand side, and I am going to change my units here to inches, and I'm just going to make a nice 10 by 8 document. So it's already set for me. If it's not set for you, maybe just plug those values in. And I'm going to have facing pages checked here as well. It's going to be in a landscape orientation. And my margins are a 1/2 inch. That's fine. Now, we're committing to some things here, but we can always change it within the document. So we're just sort of starting it here. So don't sweat it too much. Ooh, let's see what preview does here. Just curious. Oh, it just kind of pulls it up there. Okay, so I'm gonna hit create. So here is our document. We have a 10-inch wide, and I can see that in the rulers up here, 0 to 10. And then we have, let's see, 0 to 8. So 10 by 8, 1/2 inch margin going around, just so we know where to stay away from, something like that. We have some toolbars on the left-hand side over here. Let's see if I can move that around, or you can move it back and sort of dock it. There we go. And then we have some kind of a slew of toolbars over here that are just, yours may look exactly like this or something like it. So I'll show you how to find things. Don't worry. Okay, so that's that. So that's our document. We have one page in this document so far. If I go to pages right up here and click that, you can see that there's some information up here, but then I have one page, it's highlighted. And if I go down here to this create new page, click it once, click it twice. Now I have 2 more pages. So here's the first page. I can double click on it. Second page, third page. So just like a book, in my document space here, if I just do Control minus, just like a book, I have sort of my cover. I open the cover and I see this spread, and so on as I make more pages. Okay. So let's say I want to change my margins on all my pages. I'm going to go up to File, Document Setup. Now, if I didn't want to do this facing spreads pages, I could uncheck facing pages here. But I'm going to leave it that way. And I can change my margins here. I'll do 0.25. So there we go. 1/4 inch, and hit OK. And now all my pages have a 1/4 inch. And I believe there's this text box in here. Just delete it. I'm just going to select it, delete it, select it, delete it, so it's not in there. Yours might not have came with that. I just, in my preset, I had that there, so I forgot to uncheck that, but just ignore that. So there, we have 3 pages. We'll have our cover here, and then the meat of our portfolio will start here. Okay, so like I said, toolbars on the left, toolbars on the right. Anything that's missing, we can find usually up here. Okay, so let's just save this file first. I'm going to save it right to the desktop of whatever computer I'm on. In this case, I'm on my work laptop. I'm just going to do File, Save As, Desktop, and I'm just going to call this Portfolio Example V01. You know I love doing that. Right on the desktop. Okay, I've saved the file. I'm just going to minimize my screen briefly. And here's that file right here. Portfolio Example V01. We'll put him right in Yoda's hand here. So that is our InDesign file, okay? And if I open that, it will always look like this because I got nothing in it right now. Okay, so let's throw some images in here, okay? Just to kind of get a feel for how we get stuff in here. All right, so I'm gonna just put some images on the cover. I'm not worried about composition or anything. I'm just gonna get some images in here. To place an image, you just do File, Place, or Control D. Okay, I have it opened here to a project I worked on. I'm just going to select some images for that. So it's this cool Airstream project. So I'm just going to select this Zwilling version 2 view 1. You can pick any image that's on the computer you're on. Okay, so I'm going to click that, hit open. Now InDesign has asked me to place it. Okay, so I'm going to do upper left to bottom right and place that image. Okay, we placed one. It's not locked to this size. We can play around with that. Don't worry. Control D. I'll pick another one. Open. Placed another one. Obviously a different size, and so on. So we've got two images in our document so far. Okay, just a word about images. Okay, so when I select this, I'm using my black arrow up here. We will use the white arrow later, but just stick with the black arrow for now. What this is almost like AutoCAD in the sense there is a frame that's living and viewing an image per se. So if I grab an edge of this frame and move it, you can see how it covers up the image. So maybe I want to do something like that, okay? But maybe I want to move that image around in there. Like I want to move it to the right, but I want my frame to stay the same size. So we can adjust the size of the frame. And if I select this little arrow here, I can adjust where the image is. You see, if I put it too high, the frame goes below the edge of the image, and that's no good. So I can sort of move this around, get it to how I want it to look. That looks good. And so this frame, this blue frame, is sort of like a little window onto our image. And when I click the circle here, that is actually our image and how much other image there is in here that I have to play with and move around if I want. I can also like make it smaller. So if I grab that internal image there and hold down Shift and Control, sort of scaling it down a little bit, okay? And then I can move it left and right and so on. Likewise, when I click outside in space and just select that frame of that image, I can hold Control and Shift and grab a corner or grab an end and sort of scale the whole thing up. Okay, so let's take this one for example. I'm going to move this over and I'm going to sort of align it on the left-hand edge. It kind of gives me a little guide there. So you can just click and hold, right? Now let's say I want to move this frame. I want to make this as wide as this image. I can grab this left control bar or a corner, hold down Shift and Control, and it sort of aligns right to it. This happens to be right in the middle of the page, so let me move these over. Okay, so if I make that a little bigger, you see that green edge comes there. There we go. So you have the ability to resize the frame to whatever you want and scale the frame to whatever you want. And you have the ability to resize the actual image to whatever you want and move it around. So if I grab this image edge here and move it over, you can see it's actually squished the image. Okay, I'm going to undo that. That's why I get in the habit of holding down Shift and Control. Okay. So that's sort of how image frames work. We can sort of play with different shapes and things like that. Like, for example, our images don't always have to come in a sort of rectangle fashion here. I could, for example, click on, I believe the default is rectangle tool, but if I click on this and hold down, I can grab, say, one of these polygons, and I'm just going to click and hold and drag. Maybe I'll hold down Shift. There we go. We have a 6-sided polygon. Let's see if I go to properties. I was just curious if there's a way to add in another size, but well, I never use polygon, so. But anyway, well, here, convert shape. Let's see what that does. Okay. Inverse around all these different shapes. Ellipse. Let's try that. Okay. So here's an ellipse. I just quickly drew an ellipse. And now I'm going to do Control D, and I'm going to pop an image in there. There it is. So here's our image. Look how huge it is, first off. Okay. And our frame is only this big, but why'd they make our image that big? It's just the default that it comes in at. What you can do is click on the image, right click, go to fitting, and say fill frame proportionally. So now it'll shrink the image down to either the vertical or the horizontal value, whatever's smaller, and sort of fit it as best it can. So we can use different shapes, and we can just position shapes on our drawing, on our portfolio, to sort of plan out our portfolio and then assign images to them later. That's a technique. Likewise, you might notice that, hey, how come this shape has sort of a line around the perimeter, but these ones don't? So if I click on this, if you look to the left, the fill for the shape has no color. And it doesn't matter if it did, because it's filled with an image anyway. But the outer border of the shape has a color of black. And if I go over to properties, I can change the stroke of that to whatever I want, say 10. Oh, look at that. Now this is really starting to look great. Now, if I click on this one, for example, looks like no color is assigned to either the fill or the frame. Okay, so I can double click on the frame. I'll give it a black color. And there is a black border around it right now. Can't really see it, so I'm just going to increase it a little bit, and now you can. So that's how you add sort of that. That's really what I want to point out, is the difference between the fill and the border. Almost everything has some sort of fill and border, and you can play with both. Here's an example I want to show you where, okay, this has no fill and no border. Let's give it a fill of green. Okay, nothing happened, right? Because there is a image in here. But let's move that image over. Let me undo that. Move the image to the right, not the frame, the image. And now I see some green behind there, because now I'm seeing the fill of the frame, the fill of this sort of image frame. So we've placed 3 separate images in here. Okay, so let's say I worked really hard all day and this is as far as I got. Okay, that's fine. I've got 3 pages. 2 of them have nothing on it. I've got some images in here. Let's just add some text real quick, and then we'll kind of save this and pretend like the day's over, and then we'll talk about how to open up that file again. So let's add some text. So I just want to put my name up here. Okay, so if I go over to the type tool here, I'm going to click that. I'm just going to make a rectangle, and I'm just going to type in Kevin Kinney. Okay. Is rad. Okay. Now I'm going to select all those and highlight those letters there. So I'm highlighting the letters within the text box. If I look over in properties, I can see the text type and all these other controls. So right now it's set to Minion Pro. Let's try something else. Magneto. I don't think so. Let's see. How about Facile Sans, one of my favorites. Okay, now that looks pretty tight. All these letters look real tight. If I adjust this right here, tracking, I can spread them out a little bit. Right now they're spread out 200 EMs, whatever that is, but I'll put 500. So I'm just getting it to how I want it to look. I'm going to change the font size to 20. Okay, so it kind of went down on the second line here. I'm just going to make my thing a little wider. That looks pretty good. Now, a couple things at our disposal here with our text box. If I go in here and select all the letters, I can right align it in that text box, center align it, or left align it. Likewise, I can just select the text box, right click, text frame options, and I can do a vertical justification of, say, center. And now it's centered in this text box, whatever size I make it. Okay. Likewise, I can shrink this text box to whatever is contained in it or whatever is in it. So right now, like, how do I get this down to be just around the text? Good shortcut, Control Alt C. So there we go. Now, if I go in here and change the scale of this text to just a little bigger, it's like, oh my God, where did everything go? It's because the frame isn't big enough to hold that anymore. So I'm just going to make it bigger. And then I'll do Control Alt C again. And now it's on 2 lines, but I can widen this and then do Control Alt C to make it on 1. Okay, so, oh man, this portfolio is really coming together here. Now I could rotate this. If I go to the corner, I can just sort of, well, I'm going to give that a tilt, looking better and better. Now, same things apply for this box, just like these boxes. So let me click on that. I can put a fill in there. I'll do a blue. Okay. I can do a stroke around the frame. Oh, what happened here? Oh, it just got, there we go. I just have to make it a little bigger. I can increase the size of that stroke. Let's see. Yep, got to make it a little bigger. There we go. All right, that's looking good. I can also go in here, select the text, and I can change. Now I'm going back over here. I can change the color of the text to green, and I'll put a border on the text of hot pink. So I have a blue background, a blue stroke. I've got a green text and a hot pink outline on that green text. This is actually looking kind of cool. It looks like 90s. And I can actually go in there and just change one letter at a time and do the same thing. So there's quite a bit of control here. Okay, so this is a good spot. We've worked real hard, and I'm ready to sort of, I'm going to give this a different color. Let's do fuchsia on that one. There we go. Oh, way better. Really making this look 90s now. Got the hot green over here. Let's change this one to a, is there like a electric blue? We'll do something like that. Okay. All right. So I've sort of made some headway on my portfolio. And now I'm ready to kind of call it quits for the day. So first thing I'm going to do is just hit save. File, save. Okay. Now, if I took this file and say I closed down InDesign, I took this file and I opened it the next day, I would run into a big problem because it won't be able to find those images, because all images are linked in InDesign. They're not put in the file like they are, say, in PowerPoint. In this case, they're just linked. So it's always going to look for that same pathway to those images, wherever they are saved on your computer. What good does that do us? Because I'm going to be moving from computer to computer, right? So what we want to do at the end of the day is package this. Okay, so I'm going to go File, Package right here. And one thing on this first summary sheet you just want to look for is this. Is anything missing? So far it says 0. That means the file can find the images and knows exactly where they are. They're not missing. Nothing's wrong here. And I'm going to hit package. And it says portfolio example VO1 folder. I'll save that on the desktop as well. And basically that's just, it took the same name as my file and it's making a little packaged folder on the desktop. And I'm going to hit, oh yeah, there. Oh, I want to put it on the desktop. There we go. How is it going to let me do this? Sometimes it's glitching out a little bit here. It's been doing this to me. I'm not sure why. It wants me to put it in a folder. It should just say package here, not open. Yours might say package, but it looks like it wants me to put it somewhere. So I will just put it in Spring 2021 Portfolio Prep, and I'll put it in a new folder here. I'll call it Week 3. Okay, I'm in the folder. Now it says package. I'm just going to hit. I'm not going to change anything on here. Okay, I'm just going to hit package. Okay, so now I'm going to close this. And I'm going to show you what we got. All right, so we're done for the day. Okay, I'm gonna now I'm gonna start logging off this computer, right? Or if I'm on remote access. So I'm gonna go to that file. Let me just find it. Okay, here's this folder, right? So I'm gonna go in there. We've got a couple things in here. We have an InDesign document, an InDesign markup document. Just ignore that one. But we do have an InDesign document. We have a PDF, okay, and we have a folder of links and a folder of fonts. So next time I work on it, I want to open this InDesign document because this InDesign document is referencing my linked images right here. It's not looking on my computer anymore. It's just looking in this folder. So at the end of the day, ideally, you would take this folder that you've just packaged your InDesign file and move it onto your OneDrive or move it onto, well, OneDrive would be ideal if you're doing remote access, if that's what you're doing. Because then the next day, you can log onto your remote access, go onto your OneDrive, move this onto your desktop, and start again because everything you need is contained in there. Then at the end of that day, you'll package it up and repeat the process. If anyone has any confusion about that, they have to talk to me immediately. Now, what's also in this folder is a PDF file of wherever your portfolio is at. So here it is, PDF. Here's my first page. Second and third page have nothing on it, but there it is. Kevin Kinney is rad. We've made the start to the portfolio here. So day 2, I'm going to go open up the file. I'll just do it right now. Here it is, and I can start working on it. Now, so I'm just going to click one of these images here. I'm going to go up to my properties and click links. So if it can't find these images, you'll see a big like a triangle symbol here saying like, can't find it, can't find it, can't find it. But because we packaged everything, everything can be found and this document's ready to work on again. So hopefully that'll help you sort of just kind of get the 30,000 foot understanding of how InDesign works. And now we can start making cool stuff with it. So in the next video, I'm going to try to talk less and just do a quick example of how to make a cover. For your assignment, I would like you to work on your cover the next 2 weeks and start by finding something on issue that you admire and then sort of try to recreate it in some way. And of course, though, make it your own. Okay, so I'll stop it there and stay tuned for lecture 2.